Shalom. This is a day that the Most High has made. We give him truly all the praise for who he is and what he is to us, our Redeemer and our strength. He's a very present help in the time of trouble. So he is our help right now as we're living these days with times are moving so fast. And he said that except there be a shortness on these days, the time and the days, and everything moving fast, it has to, so that there will be some flesh that will be saved. He said there would be no flesh saved if he didn't shorten the days. And I don't know where all the time has gone. And, it kind of gets on my nerves that people are trying to teach a message that tells you you have more time. This is not that. No, that's not what that was. That's not what that prophecy is. The prophecy is being fulfilled right in front of your eyes. And what you don't want to acknowledge is that you've been deceived and taught wrong pretty much your whole entire life, from the various religious affiliations that you had, the churches that you were in, and the camps that you were in. The prophecy is redirecting and correcting your advancement, because you're seeing that it's being fulfilled in a different manner than that was taught to you. The narratives have been all wrong, and man is full of deception, which is why Hamashiach said in Matthew 24, the first thing out of his mouth is, when will we know the signs of thy coming? He said, let no man deceive you. And many people have been deceived into taking pokey, and also deceived as to this new age movement, which is heavily inside the churches, because Satan sprinkled into the churches. They crept in unawares and began teaching false doctrines of new age theory. And that's why they are in part and parcel with the narrative that's going on now, because they were being utilized to prepare people for this golden age era. And the assimilation and association is coming together for them now, which is why they're worshiping a particular man and his doctrine and his things that he's trying to achieve in a rapid succession, because Satan knows his time is short, and he knows he only has but a little time. So those that he's utilizing to bring his end to an end, they're moving fast. They have to move fast. They have this theory that they will outdo the Most High and outrun him. So we come together on these holy days, the covenant, the Shabbat, to encourage one another, and that's all I want to do. I feel like the only ones that need to be taught are babes who come in and don't know where to read, where to go. But once you become off of milk, you need that no man teach you. The Ruach is your teacher, and you should be filled and indwelled with the Spirit. As your elders, when you first come in, begin to teach you the commandments, they're teaching you the milk. They're teaching you Psalms 19 and 7, because they want to get you to a place of success. 1 John 3 and 22 says, and whatsoever we ask, we receive of him. Who's him? Yah. Why? Because we keep his commandments and do those things that are pleasing in his sight. If you keep the commandments, he's going to answer your prayer. And that is so necessary in these last days. You're going to need his guidance on how to move and how to flow. And that's why the title of this lesson is Overcome. And we've got to overcome. We're moving into Passover season. 11 more days will be at the Hebrew New Year, around the 19th to 20th of this month. And then in the early part of April, I believe the second that evening, we move into the Passover. I know other people have other dates, but hey, I'm moving when I know the Hebrew New Year is not in the winter. I know it is in the spring, when all things become new, when bears come out of their hibernating, when salmon begin to swim upstream, when the wheat and the chaff begins to grow, when things spring out the ground. That's when we know New Year is. So let no man deceive you. You have to overcome, and we must become a nation of overcomers and believers. We have to do that, and you need to read the word for yourself. You don't need to keep going to YouTube to seek a false prophet. Because anything that's led by man or has a founder or whatever it is, you don't need to be a part of it. You need to be in these scriptures and studying to show yourself approved. And that would be the book of Jubilees, Enoch, Jasher, the Apocrypha, the Pseudepigrapha, and not just the book that Constantine and the Nicene Council put together and gave you and said, here, read this, that they changed many things. Did you not know that even in the book of Revelations, if you go to different editions of the word, especially 1611 compared to NIV, that when they talked about the mark of the beast, it said that the mark of the beast will be on the right hand in the newer versions and on the forehead in the newer versions. But when you go to 1611, it says in the right hand and in the forehead. So if it's in, that means it has to be put in you. That is a very small word, but a big point of contention and deception that has thrown people off from realizing what is happening in this beast system. And you've got to understand it. That's why we're coming down to the nitty gritty, and you're going to have to be able to overcome. So we come together to encourage, exhort, and love one another in keeping these commandments that we might be able to endure until the end. So I'm not going to be on for long. I'm not too good at masking my words to hide from the algorithm so that I won't be blocked, but I'll do my best. But it's very tough in this era, and I know we're coming close. We're coming soon to a time where we won't be able to even be on these airwaves. When you think about the last two witnesses in the book of Revelations, what was the goal of the entire world and the beast? What was their goal to do to these last two witnesses? To kill them, to destroy them. And they're going to lay slain in the streets until the Most High resurrects them again. People are being ticked off by the real word of Yah that is saying, repent. The real word of Yah who's pointing to the true children of Yasharal and who they are, because it exposes one of the greatest lies in history. That this lie is so powerful that the axis of power in this world rests upon this lie, because all of the contention that lies upon this lie is based on these different countries and political beliefs and wars, based all on this lie. Starting back with the mustache man. That's cold. And then they created a big lie, which they have put in movies every year for years, the H, to get you to believe that lie so that you would not really see the people of Yasharal and know where to focus. This is why the prophets tell you that the people are going to be astounded when they see us come into prominence and say, truly, you are the children of Yasharal. I heard it, but I didn't want to believe it. But you see, the point of contention are the imposters with every other king of a nation throughout the world. This lie is serious. So they don't like us out here talking about this as we're awakening. That's why they've taken our word and tried to demonize it. Awaken. Or when it's said in another context. So we encourage each other. We don't get discouraged, and we don't keep responding to them, and we don't keep trying to prove to them who we are. We don't have these debates. All that stuff needs to stop. The grandstanding. This is all deception. Many people, and let me get into this before we do a few scriptures on overcome. Many people are leading you into new age spirituality, which is deception. Many of you are going to be deceived with this Kundalini spirit, thinking it's the Ruach. Many people are trying to lead you into chakras and different things. I'm not going to go too much into that. These points, these nodal points that are in the body do exist physiologically and biologically, but people are trying to get you to focus on that rather than focus on Hamashiach and the Most High Yah and these commandments, and try and get you to find your healing by being within. Many people are telling you that the Mashiach is not coming back because they're denying that he's the Christ in flesh. We're going to read that in a second. Because they're trying to get you to go into a place called Christ consciousness and relegate our Messiah to a consciousness. So they're altering the theology with slight maneuvering, which could deceive you and have you into New Age religion. And the Messiah, the Most High, will tell you, I don't know you, and that you worship. Because you have to realize that Satan is trying to mimic Hamashiach, because he said he would do so in Isaiah the 14th chapter with his 5-point plan. He said, I'll be worshiped. They're going to mistake me for him. And I wish, I can't explain it. Only the Ruach can explain it to you, but I wish I could get you to understand how this thing works as it pertains to Jeremiah 1 and 5 and our Messiah, and how the Antichrist who's operating now, what really happened. It's all rooted in Jeremiah 1 and 5. Before you were formed in the belly, I knew you and called you and sanctified you. You have to say, how can that be possible? So he's saying, before I created a body for you on the earth, you existed in another realm and dimension, and I knew you, and I dealt with you in that realm. We need to understand that when people leave this earth, they go back to the real place, because you're just in a matrix now. You go back to that place where the Father is, and you are judged upon the merits of what you did in that flesh. So this is what's being mimicked in the demonic realm, is that Satan has his son, and he put his demonic spirit into an entity to perform his commands in the earth and get it done. And that's why the Antichrist and false prophet are maneuvering the way they are. Those are the people that you're seeing, and you don't want to believe it's them. If I'm wrong, I'll get on here and say I'm wrong and show my face. But you're not seeing the technocracy, the progression. You're not seeing Revelations 13, the power of the beast being given. You're not understanding that the image of the beast will be that of quantum computing and the robots and computers and holograms. See, it's all jumping off the pages now, what Daniel spoke of. Seal it up until the end. This is why no man can teach you, because most men have an agenda when they teach, and they indoctrinate you, and they point you towards something that serves them. And normally it's money. And the scripture tells us that any man that collects money based upon the Father's word is a false prophet, is a messenger of Satan. That he's turned his ministers into angels of light to deceive you. This is why it's so important. That's why I talk about you got to overcome. So you have to get alone to yourself and balance this stuff out, because there's so much information being thrown at us now. And it's because you allow the algorithm. This Mr. Musk guy said it best. Calling on AI is summoning the demon. You know, you're not even supposed to be playing with Chat GPT. So you're summoning spirits that have the ability to utilize these algorithms and these frequencies to penetrate your spirit and soul, which operates in a different dimension. Your spirit and soul has the ability to go before the Father. See, when Messiah died and the temple of the veil was ripped, he said, now we as individuals can boldly approach the throne. What does that mean? From where you are on the earth, you can go into another realm and dimension to the seventh heaven and talk to the Father in prayer and in the Spirit. When you close your eyes and meditate to the Father and on these commandments, you are connected to him and all the saints. That's the power of prayer. Meditation and 1 John 3 and 22. And whatsoever we ask, we receive of him, because we keep his commandments. We're citizens of the kingdom. Do you know that means you're operating outside of time when you're in prayer and you're in the spirit? All that is going to be exists at that time period when you're in the spirit, when you're in prayer. That's why he told us to walk in the spirit and not after the flesh. So it's duplicitous, the life you live. You have to walk around, shower, bathe, eat, and do that. But while you're doing that, you need to be on the flip side, constantly meditating and focusing on what the Spirit is saying. He that hath an ear, let him hear. He that hath eyes to see, let him see. You don't walk in the Spirit, you're not going to overcome. I would rather be in that spiritual place that's going to help me to maneuver as we get closer to the consolidation of Satan's tactics. What do I mean by that? He has built the entire infrastructure, Satan and his minions, the political people that you see on them stages and all the technocracy. This is why all the technocrats was up there on the stage for the inaugural ball, because they know what they're getting ready to set into full play. This is why you got this clown up here dealing with the rockets and satellites and people's money, who wasn't even elected, because he's the most powerful one. And they are setting the infrastructure for this final beast kingdom to where the infrastructure is tied together. Everything's in place. You just had the orange man push cryptocurrency. There's a patent for it. I'll give you the number so you can look it up. WD060606. Just a coincidence. Now, when you go read the patent, maybe it'll help you to understand Revelations better, because the patent ties that to blockchain, which ties that to you not being able to buy and sell at a particular point that they pull the trigger and connect the dots of everything. I say less. You better be ready to overcome. Because if you're not doing 1 John 3 and 22, you're not going to be able to just go get food and water and your wine and your oil and gas and move around. No, you're going to be fleeing, running, hiding, or waiting and trusting. You're going to literally be like the millions of children of Yasharal that came out of Egypt that had to wait for instructions and food and water and be given them until the time passed, the indignation. And that's going to require a whole lot of faith, which a lot of you don't have because you're dependent upon a man, an elder, a camp, a prophetess, all this other stuff, when you need to be building your faith. And it's going to come through you reading, trusting the Most High's power, his miracle working power. If he said he's going to have a remnant, he's going to have a remnant. So I take away from things I see on the news, and then I see it in scripture. I take away from it more faith and proof and understanding that he's moving, and this is all this madness. There's a method to this madness. It's all leading somewhere. That place of contention over there in the Middle East that everybody's worried about and trying to clear out and make it a resort. They've read Zephaniah, the 2nd chapter too, and they know that it said it was reserved for the remnant of the children of Judah, which is primarily the slaves that were put in the Americas. If it says it's theirs, somebody's trying to take that place and say, to hell to the no, we're taking that. But you should see that on the news and start to rejoice and say, oh my Yah, this is why they did what they did. But you busy taking sides because you're doing what the earth is doing, and you're taking political sides. But when you don't know that, my Yah don't play about what's his and his people and his land. Which is why he told Joshua and the children of Yasharal to destroy lands and destroy things. This is why King Saul got in trouble with Yah. And it was given, and the kingship was given to David because he didn't do what Yah told him. And when Yah said kill all the Amalekites, he didn't. He brought the king of the Amalekites back to Yasharal, tied him up in front of him, and gloated and said, "Look what I've done." Now he's sitting at my feet. Yah said, "I didn't tell you to do that." So you have to follow his instructions, and those instructions might be to destroy something. And when we didn't destroy everything, I already did a short about this. David and the battle of Ai. No coincidence.